College wrestling season is in full swing, and man, there were so many upsets last weekend that are really shaking up the rankings. We're going to go through the biggest movement from last week to this week, and we're starting right at the top at 133 pounds. Drake Ayala gets upset by Stanford's Tyler Knox. Ayala was all the way up at number 3, and he drops down to number 7. He does have a win over Braden Davis from last year. Ayala is a guy super consistent, really only loses to All-Americans, so he doesn't drop too far in the rankings. And then Tyler Knox moves up to number 12. He was down in like the 20, 21 range. He did beat Bouzakis last year, so Knox comes up right above Bouzakis, but he also lost to guys like Blake Borman and Dom Zacconi, so he doesn't have the resume just yet to move into that top 10 spot, even with the win over Drake Ayala. 174, really similar to 133. Nelson Brands gets upset by Lorenzo Norman. So Nelson Brands, he drops to number 9, and Lorenzo Norman, he shoots up from 21 to number 12. Lorenzo Norman, he has really inserted himself into like dark horse title threat, maybe not with Keegan O'Toole, Levi Haynes, but like top contender for All-American. If you remember last year, Lorenzo Norman also beat Shane Griffith, but similar to his teammate, he also had some losses from guys outside of All-American contenders, guys like Danny Wask, Nick and Contreras, Sal Perini. So Lorenzo Norman makes a huge jump, but doesn't quite get into that top 10 just yet. Nelson Brands slides down, but he has a lot of good wins in his career over guys like Dustin Plott, Ethan Smith, Edmund Ruth. Going down to 125, Eddie Ventresca, he is so back. He beats Cooper Flynn for the 5th time in his career. You remember Eddie Ventresca, All-American 2023, and then 2024 got off to a really rough start. And this really is a great illustration of how hard it is to rank guys sometimes, because Eddie Ventresca, he lost to so many guys last year in really short time. Lost to Max Gallagher, Dom Mendez, Noah Luna, Dean Peterson, Jack Maida, Brendan McCrone. Just could keep going, right? Actually, I think that's it. But Eddie Ventresca, he doesn't come all the way up into the top 10. I think we have him right around that 13, 14 range. And then Cooper Flynn drops down. Ventresca is going to be an interesting guy to watch. Not really sure what to expect from him. I think he's back, though. He was dealing with an injury last year. Comes back first weekend of the season and has a really, really good week. So watch out for Eddie Ventresca. Also 125, Jacob Camacho comes out of the rankings completely because his teammate Vincent Robinson, he had an incredible week, wins the Journeyman, goes undefeated, and man, he doesn't have the results to put him up in like the top 5, top 10 just yet, but he makes a huge jump in the rankings. And just like eyeball test, completely passes. He looks like the real deal. Keep an eye on Camacho. Does he try to earn that starting spot back at 125, or does he move up to 133 where NC State really has a need? 141, want to answer some questions that you guys have. Any questions you have, from last week to this week as the season unfolds, leave them in the comments. Would love to answer them here. Got a question about Jesse Mendez, saying surprise Mendez is number 2, and that probably comes from Mendez's win over Andrew Alirez at the Beat the Streets, which is, it is freestyle. We don't count freestyle results in the college rankings, but also it's worth noting Mendez had 2 losses last year. He lost to Bo Bartlett, and he also lost to Cole Matthews, whereas Andrew Alirez 2 years ago, he was undefeated in his run to an NCAA title. So that's why we have Andrew Alirez number 1 over Jesse Mendez number 2. Also at 174, been getting a lot of comments or discussion around Keegan O'Toole being number 1 and Levi Haynes being number 2. Levi Haynes, undefeated national champion last year, all the way down at 157. And Keegan O'Toole, though he is a 2-time NCAA champ, he didn't win NCAAs last year. He lost to David Carr. And so feel like the need to explain that just a little bit. Levi Haynes, awesome season, undefeated, but it really comes down to who did he beat last year. And his best win in the NCAA finals was Ja'Cory Teamer, which great win for sure. But Levi Haines does not have a win on par with Keegan O'Toole. Keegan O'Toole has beaten David Carr multiple times in his college career, and Keegan O'Toole has a much more robust resume over the last 3 years than Levi Haines has in 2 years. Levi Haines also, he lost to Austin O'Connor and lost to Vinny Zerban. And so, those losses don't really come close to the losses and the wins that Keegan O'Toole has. Also, Levi Haines, he did beat Keegan O'Toole in freestyle, but again, we don't count freestyle results in the folk style rankings. 165, the big story is here, Sammy Sasso's return. He's going to be making his return to college wrestling. This week, he makes his return to the rankings, and really unprecedented. Sammy Sasso gets shot 2 years ago, year and a half. We don't know, is he ever going to wrestle again? And then, suddenly he's back, and he's all the way up at 165. And so, we really don't have anything to go off of. But we chose to rank him where his resume is at 165, and that's number 3. This, multiple-time NCAA runner-up, 3-time All-American. We'll see how he looks on the map, but just going from wins, losses, Sammy Sasso is at number 3. And then also at 165, Braden Scholes, really big mover, off to a hot start, makes his debut at number 15 in the rankings. 197, just a quick movement here. Christmas Christian Carroll comes in at number 13 after beating Nick Stemmet. And, man, he looks like the real deal, especially from the neutral position. He's going to be a guy to watch out for. I think he is someone who can quickly jump into the top 8, top 10, and contend for All-American honors this year. And finally, at heavyweight, 285, we have, for the first time this season, what we call a ranker's delight. And that's when one wrestler beats another wrestler, who then beats a wrestler who beat the first wrestler. Really, you can just pick and choose. But Colton Schultz beat Isaac Trumbull. Lucas Luffman beat Colton Schultz. Isaac Trumbull has a win over Lucas Luffman from last year, and Luffman lost to Owen Treffin, who is Isaac Trumbull's backup. And so, the question, what do we do here? So Colton Schultz comes down just a few spots, but he still is the most credentialed guy, most established guy in the weight. So he is ranked above Isaac Trumbull, and Isaac Trumbull stays ranked above Lucas Luffman. But Luffman comes up for his win over Colton Schultz. And so heavyweight in that 5 to 10 range, it's going to be pretty fluid. It's really competitive this year. And so we could see Trumbull come up. We could see Schultz move back down. It'll be a group to watch and will be really interesting. Really appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate your feedback from last week. We're going to keep doing this every week. Encourage you. Get in the comments. Any questions you have. If we missed anything, let us know. We're not too proud to admit our mistakes, but we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next week.